Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love, with no artificial sweeteners, only 30 calories, just 5 grams of sugar, and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. That great Pepsi taste with even more to love. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
Hello, and welcome back to the Psych Legal Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. My name is Brooke Brigham, and I am the attorney.
And I'm Tess Brigham. I'm the therapist.
So today we're going to be continuing our discussion of Season 4 of Love is Blind.
Yes.
This is episodes 6, 7, and 8, I believe.
And I feel like in these episodes, I've gotten several questions answered. Mm-hmm. And some questions left open. Yes. We will get into the questions that have been answered. And then some things that are still open-ended.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot going on with these people.
Yes, but there were some, I feel like with some of them, there were some aha moments of like, yes, this is why this is what it is.
So we start out, they're leaving the resort in Mexico. And they are all traveling back to Seattle to move into these very cute apartments.
Yes, I have to say, they've really upgraded these apartments.
Yeah.
Or Seattle has better apartments.
Yeah, because before
like
they were like these really utilitarian, they look like little shoe boxes,
like
all
dorm rooms.
Cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And this is a very nice apartment complex. And there's a lot of greenery and trees, and it's very, very pretty.
No, these are like $3,500 a month, or I don't know, Seattle. Maybe I'm thinking about the Bay Area, but these are like $3,000, $2,500. I don't know. These are nice apartments.
No idea, but they're nice apartments.
Nicer than some of the places we saw where they actually live.
Right. So before they get too deep into that, we go back to Zach and Bliss, who have just met for the first time in person at this restaurant in Seattle. And Zach says he made a mistake. This is where we left off the last episode. And he's explaining to her that he really likes her and that he regretted breaking up with her right away. And then she says, but you still proposed.
Yeah, it's a good point.
To Irina.
No, because he told her, I knew I fucked up the minute you walked out the door. Like the minute he said the words. He said,
but then she said, but you still went on to propose to Irina.
Well, yeah, and what I think is so interesting is she's absolutely right, which is if you knew you made a mistake the minute she did it, why didn't you take a pause?
Right.
And then
tell the producer,
wait a minute, I made a huge mistake.
Yeah.
I made a huge mistake. Hold on. But you kept going. She's not wrong.
No, she's not wrong at all. And I think in this part, or maybe they got into this later, but, basically what it comes down to is I think that Zach felt that he wasn't good enough for Bliss or didn't deserve Bliss because, he has some issues about feeling worthy enough. And I think he felt more connected to Irina. Well, she's just...
Well, they get into this later, but yeah, and we can talk about that then. Because I have a lot of feelings about the way Zach handled a lot of this.
Okay.
But,
well,
but she's attracted to him, which is very different than Irina. Like, she's into him.
She is into him. She's trying to play it cool. Mm-hmm. She's trying to be very, very cool. Like, I don't know.
She definitely... And a few times I was kind of like, okay, Bliss, but she has the right to, because she's making him work for it. She is not going to just let him. She is not going to just be like, okay, and just let him slide right back in. Like she obviously is attracted to him and wants to try to make this work, but she has a lot of, she has pride. She has
her feelings are hurt. Yeah. So she's playing it cool, and she doesn't say anything about, well, let's do this again. She just sort of says kind of peace out,
like,
bye. Nice to meet you. So walks out of the restaurant, and I'm thinking, okay, well, we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, I thought like, oh, wait, they're not going to try to make this work. And I thought in that moment, oh, this is it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
she didn't seem to want to see him again.
Yes.
But she was just playing hard to get.
Yes. Good for you, Bliss.
Yeah. So then I think we go next to Kwame and Chelsea. They are checking out their new apartment, and Kwame's saying that 3 weeks ago he was at home playing Xbox in his boxer shorts, and now he's here and he's moving in with Chelsea.
Yes.
And so they immediately start discussing chores and what do you do with your dirty dishes, and do you just put them on the counter? Do you put them in the sink? Do you put them directly in the dishwasher? And she's saying she does not want to go to bed with dirty dishes.
Yes.
And he seems kind of horrified, like, oh my God.
Yes. Like, do you go to bed with dirty dishes in your sink?
Very rarely. But I know when my daughter was younger, I could not go to bed with a dirty kitchen because, when you have little kids and everything's so hectic in the morning, like if I saw a dirty kitchen in the morning, it would just stress me out.
Yeah.
So I would always clean the kitchen at night. But now that, I'm an empty nester, who gives a shit?
Yeah. No, listen, and I understand this one. My son likes to make food at night for himself. So many times I will wake up in the morning to 90 pots and pans with sticky stuff all over it, and it really does do me in. It's like I just
that's super annoying.
Drives me crazy. I've had a few, and he's gotten better with it. I've had to have a few talks with him about can you just at least soak them?
Yeah. Well, and the worst is when my daughter comes home from school, it's as if she just reverts back to being a child.
Yeah.
And she does not put a dish in the dishwasher or wash dishes. She'll put them in the sink. But that's as far as she goes. But when I go to see her in college, and her kitchen is spotless. She does her dishes right after she cooks. So I don't know why she can't seem to do that here, but maybe someday.
Yes. Though when I go to our mom's house, I don't really like to do dishes there.
No, I
I'm
don't.
Always put them in there.
I usually just put them in the sink.
Someone's doing them for me.
I know. I guess it's just genetic.
Yes. Anyway,
so they have a discussion about that. And then he says that he wants her to make sure she flushes the toilet every time. I'm like, wow, this is really getting real.
Yes, this is. And apparently where you are, Kwame, you don't have the water issues that we have here in the Bay Area, because here people really don't flush their toilets at all.
No, and growing up, we've lived in California our whole lives. We've always been in a drought.
Yes.
Always.
So you're never supposed to, you never ever, if you just pee, you're never supposed to flush.
When we were
unless you got company over.
Yeah, when we were little kids, we were taught, if it's mellow, let it... Yeah, if it's yellow, let it mellow. So I was like, calm down, Kwame.
Well, I have a lot of feelings about Kwame, and I have some theories.
Okay.
So,
well, do you want to just...
No, I'll share these in a few.
Into that. Okay. So, now we're just kind of going through the couple. So, Paul and Micah, I have here that he brings up that... or does she bring it up?
No, she brings it up.
She brings it up that Irina Irina confessed to her like the last day in Mexico.
Yeah.
That she had feelings for Paul, which I just thought was super dumb. Like, why would you do that?
That she was attracted to Paul.
Yeah. And so Micah tells him this, and he's just kind of like, huh? And I don't really have very good notes on this part. I know that like she was upset. She realized that this Irina is really not her friend.
Yeah. I think Micah has some awareness here. And then, but Paul says, like, listen, I have no love for her. I don't have an attraction for her. And I think obviously if he did have an attraction for her, because that's what I kept saying, that Irina was paired with Paul during the pods. Like if there was some there that there would be something. So, and I think that's obviously, Paul's feeling. And I think Micah's feeling like, you didn't like him then. So why do you like him now?
And then they flash back to a scene where they're in the pool, and I guess Irina was kind of hanging on Paul's leg, and Micah, I guess, didn't catch that, but he told her about it, and that made her even more upset. I mean, Irina was just trying to stir up some drama so she could come back on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Micah, the other thing that I thought was really interesting was that Micah points out that Zach was doing the same things, acting the same way, being the same goofy person that he is in the pods, Zach was being Zach in the pods as he was once they were in Mexico, but that she now hated it after she saw his face.
Right. So it was all just physical. And she wasn't even willing to give him a chance.
Yeah. And Micah, I have to say, I was kind of up and down with Micah in these last 3 episodes. But she does admit that she's been laughing along at Zach, but he was really just being his genuine self. And I think that Micah seeing how Paul is with Zach, I think, here's her partner is Paul, and she sees that Paul and Zach are friends, and that Paul respects him and likes him and is kind to him and treats him well. So I think that Micah now is, I think as she distanced herself from Irina, and I think that meeting Micah's friends later on in the 3rd episode that we watched was very, very telling about Micah and who she attracts in her world. Yeah. And we'll talk about that then. But I think that we're starting to, I think these episodes, there was a lot about Micah and Paul. And I think we got to see a lot of Micah and who she is and what makes her tick. So the other couples check out their apartment. I didn't remember anything significant about this part with Marshall and Jackie or Brett and Tiffany. They just kind of show them. Yeah, they see the apartments.
Coming in, looking around, talking about how, it's 20 days until the weddings. And so then they go back to see their real apartments.
Yeah, who is this?
Okay, so Kwame and Chelsea go to Chelsea's apartment. And he comments that there's a lot of pink stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, what's happening? And she said that she was in her past relationship. Her boyfriend was really controlling about how to decorate. So she decided she was going to decorate however she wanted, and that he would just have to get used to it. There was going to be pink stuff in their apartment.
Yeah. I thought this was a very vulnerable moment for her. I mean, she just talked about how this was important to her to be her true self.
I really think Chelsea, she's very mature for a 30-year-old. I was thinking about when I was 30, I was not that mature.
Yeah. Well, she also said that single people have a lot of lonely nights, that she would FaceTime friends when she eats dinner. And she, of anybody on the show, she is the one that I feel like really, really wants, not so much of wanting, not that she needs it, but she wants it. She wants to have a family. She wants to be in love. She wants, kids and all of this. And I'm super nervous about Kwame.
Oh,
I am
totally.
so nervous about Kwame. And when we get there.
Yeah, because everything she says that's very real and and genuine, he pushes back on.
Yes.
And it's very nervous. So okay, so then I have here Brett and Tiffany. Do they go and meet Tiffany's friends?
Yes.
And I don't know, she has some intense friends.
But I don't know. I liked her friends, and I think that that's a real contrast when we meet Micah's friends, right? It's a real contrast of Micah's friends, 26-year-old friends, and Tiffany's friends, 36-year-old friends. Yeah, I mean, literally, I have 1 page of notes. I have like 90 pages of notes for everybody else, but I have 1 page of notes for Tiffany and Brett because I just love them. And there's nothing to talk about with them because they're just so amazing and wonderful.
I know. I don't know what they're going to do. They've got to find something.
Well, there's truly nothing. I mean, obviously, right? Brett meets Tiffany's friends. Her friends, I thought, were really lovely, care about her, asked very good questions, like very thoughtful questions of like, and questions that are like, what is it that you love about her? What made you pick her? And he gave, of course, amazing question responses, and they think he's great, and that's it.
See, I don't know. I had a different reaction. I wrote down here, her friends are scary.
Oh.
Because I felt like they were putting too much pressure. Like they were saying, make them babies and...
I don't know. I felt like that was I mean, she is 36.
Well, and one of them was crying and she was saying that, that talking about how she had to make sure that Brett was the right person because she was giving Tiffany to him. And I was like, ladies, calm down. I don't know. I found them intense.
Okay. Well, in comparison to Micah's friends, I thought these people were a lot more together.
Okay,
but
maybe.
Yeah, I know. I don't. And maybe I just have shitty friends because I've never had friends like this, Micah's or Tiffany's, that were so invested in my life that they felt like this great need to interfere on this level and, and I wouldn't do this to another person's partner.
Also, yeah. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on someone to... it's like they're looking for this approval, like, okay, yeah, this is it. This is the one. This is the guy. That's a lot of pressure. I mean, they've only known each other for 2 weeks.
Yeah. But they are getting married in 2 weeks.
I know. That's the thing. This is a lot. This is so completely abnormal. I guess that's my point.
Yes. This whole thing is abnormal.
Nothing normal about it.
I don't know. And maybe the cameras make everybody crazy. I don't know.
And the producers probably hype them up and tell them, you know.
Your job is to make sure that, whatever.
Exactly.
I didn't think the friends were that bad.
Okay.
So, all right. Whatever.
Well, so then, my next notes says about Paul. Oh, Paul and Zach get together and talk.
Yes.
And these guys are actually, friends from the whole experience. And Paul says that he likes that Micah understands that life is chaos and she's not overly analytical. And then he says she meets the minimum criteria for a perfect woman.
Yeah, I didn't understand what that meant.
Minimum criteria for a perfect woman.
Yes.
Okay.
But Paul has a hard time expressing affection.
Yeah, Paul is
he's very analytical.
Yeah, very kind of monotone, and that's why they're such an odd couple. And then Zach says he thinks Micah would genuinely follow him everywhere. Micah needs affirmation.
Yeah, I think Zach's projecting a little because I feel like he's kind of going to Paul saying, listen, don't F this up the way I did.
Right.
Make sure that you're affirming and being kind and thoughtful and all of these things.
Okay.
And then Zach says, he and Bliss have chemistry. She's the full package.
Yeah. And then this is what I thought. I thought this was a very interesting part of their conversation. So Zach says, and this is something I think this is one of the big problems right now with people and dating, younger people, or just any age, really. So Zach says there are a million options out there. At some point, if you want to get married, you have to pick someone. What is the cost of continually waiting for that better person or continually just trading, always moving on to someone better? And I was like, yes, that's the problem. Like, it used to be your dating pool was very small.
Yes.
It's whoever lived in your town. It could be really small if you're living in a small town. But even like living in a city, you're only going to come across a certain number of people. You know, it's not like you're all over the entire city, So now the dating pools are
global.
Unlimited.
It's across the
Global.
world, not even the country, the world. There's a great book called Modern Romance. I may have mentioned this before on the podcast, but if you're young and if you're any age in dating and dating on apps, get the book Modern Romance by Aziz Ansari and a social scientist by the name of Eric something. I'm sorry. But it's a really good book. And they get into this of like once upon a time in the 1950s and 60s, the average person met and married someone that lived within a 2 to 3 block ratio of where they grew up. And what they really wanted to try to understand in the world of dating apps, why is it? Because Aziz Ansari's parents were why can't I think of the word? Arranged marriage. And why is it people that are arranged marriages, why is it that they're more successful than people that marry for love? And one of the big reasons is because when you're in an arranged marriage, the way and the expectations that you go into it is you don't expect this person to be your moon and stars and all of these things, that you go into it that I need to learn to love this person. I need to learn how to understand their habits. They need to learn me, all of that. And what the book does get into this is that now the world that we live in, because we're so isolated from each other, because we expect so much from our partners. We want our partners to be our therapist, our best friend, our comedian, to make us laugh, to make us do this, to make us do, everything to us, that when someone doesn't show all of this to us, because we have this access to other people are constantly, and that's the problem with the apps. Yeah. Is there is always, I matched with this person. They're cute. But I can match with this person. And this date was good, but it was a 9, but it wasn't a 10. Let me get back online and see. And you're right. People do, I blame movies and TV, but people really do have this very false idea of what love and marriage is supposed to be.
Well, yeah, and people don't want to settle because they think there's something better. The next person who comes up is going to be better, and I think it's very unhealthy. Yes, it just is. And that's why a lot of people have a problem, even though they have this wonderful person in front of them that they connect with. Whatever I think. They're always thinking, well, maybe there's someone who's better, So I thought that was very interesting. Yes. And obviously, these guys, they've gone on this TV show. So, they're even, I don't know. It's hard to explain. So then next there's a scene where Micah and Irina have a little confrontation.
This is interesting.
Yeah, so Irina basically says, again, I just felt a connection, with Paul. And then Micah basically says, well, Paul doesn't want to see her.
No, Paul's not. No, because Micah basically sits her down and says she was really uncomfortable with Irina talking and touching Paul. And it put her in a negative headspace. What was really interesting was that, and what was revealed to us was that Micah, apparently, Micah says that she really stood up for Irina when they were in the pod. So apparently,
nobody liked Irina.
None of the other women liked Irina at all, except for Micah. And apparently, Micah had ostracized herself from everybody else. And I'm sorry, Irina had ostracized herself from everyone else. And Micah was the one that stood up for her. So Micah is pissed because she says, I considered you a friend of mine, and now you're making me doubt you. And then she says this, which she then tells her, and Paul's not even interested in you. And you can see Irina's face, that fall, that little awareness and fall.
Well, what did she expect?
I don't know.
Who tells their quote unquote friend, I'm interested in your, not just boyfriend, fiance.
Yes.
And I'm attracted to him. What does she expect Micah to do? I mean, Micah, I'm on team Micah on this one. I mean,
Yes.
she has every right to be pissed. Irina is a horrible person. So this is bizarre.
Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, listen, absolutely, I'm with you on the Micah thing. I just thought it was kind of interesting in that moment. Like, Micah really loved delivering that. You could tell that Micah was very much like,
Nobody liked you.
No.
I, stuck up for you.
Yeah, and you are a virgin who can't drive. Like, she was, she just wanted to stick it to her really hard.
She deserved it.
Yeah, she did. She really, really did. And then she was like, and I just don't know about our friendship and hanging out in the future. It's like, Micah, you knew this girl for a couple weeks in a very weird situation. You don't need to be friends with her anymore. She probably has her own friends in Seattle. Like, end this friendship.
Yeah.
This is it. You're done.
Bye-bye.
All right. So then what happens after
So
that?
I think then we see Marshall and Jackie together. And, this is really...
Oh, my God.
This
these
is
two.
really a recipe for disaster because Jackie says she's never experienced love before, never been in love. She was so enthusiastic on the show and the pods and whatever. And then the minute, they got to Mexico, she just completely flipped the script. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, she's just this terrified little girl who doesn't know like what to do or how to feel or and just talking about all the things with her family and this and that. And here's poor Marshall just trying to cook her breakfast. And
I have thoughts about Marshall too, but yeah, keep going.
Well, she's saying no one's ever made her a plate before.
Yeah, I mean, and I have to tell you, those pancakes, those look fluffy. They look like fluffy
They
pancakes.
looked good. And then he made like a fruit compote from scratch.
And eggs and probably bacon. I mean, this was a full
brunch.
It was a full brunch.
Yeah.
It was. And he went to the market too. He was been up earlier, like hours. He's been doing this.
He just seems like a gem.
He does.
But
yeah, no, it's really sad. She says that she tells her family about being engaged, but they don't believe her. And it's like, so what?
She said her mom was mad at her because Marshall says, yeah, I told my family and they're all thrilled. And his sister and brother-in-law show up, later in the episode or maybe the next episode.
I'm so confused. I hope, and I understand that she's speaking around it because obviously she doesn't want to reveal maybe some family things that are going on TV, but she says these very cryptic things that are like her family isn't behind her 100%, but she needs to make sure they're good. She says they're hurting right now. So it's just so hard to figure out like what is this dynamic? I have some theories about that.
Yeah, I just think Jackie is like the head of her family, clearly, like in many ways. And her family's probably saying, what are you doing? Like, we need you. Come back here. Why are you off, doing this? And,
yeah, probably.
And and why did she go on the show? That's another thing. It's like, you went on the show knowing the premise of the show, and then as soon as you get engaged, you're like, I can't do this. I don't have time for this. I'm not equipped for this. I'm not ready for this. My family, why are you here?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's very confusing. So I think that this episode ends with Kwame meeting Chelsea's dad.
Oh, yeah. That whole thing I thought was so weird because they're getting ready to meet the father. And so they're both really anxious, and you can tell how anxious they are. And she's anxious. So the more anxious she gets, she's, getting him anxious and making him, feel angry. And then they're getting into this discussion about who lectures who more. And then do we see the dad before the end of the episode or no?
I think so. Maybe it's the next one.
That we see the dad?
At the beginning of the next episode.
Because I swear to God, I called this Much Ado About Nothing. Because we open up the dad, like, you're wondering in your mind, like, oh my God, who is this guy?
Because the implication is that somehow the dad's going to have a problem with Kwame being black.
Yes, I thought it would either be that or dad was this big brute kind of a guy that's not, is unreasonable and difficult insensitive and all of this. And oh my God, this is going to be a problem. And all of a sudden, this guy Charlie shows up and he's the sweetest guy. And he's just like this mild-mannered, middle-aged white guy. You're just kind of like, oh, this guy? You're all afraid of Mr. Rogers over here with the big sweater? Like,
Yeah, and
this is what we're really worried about?
And Chelsea said, well, maybe this is what she was nervous about. She said that her dad didn't know she was doing the show. And so she had to explain the premise of the show because he had no idea, like, well, hi, who is this guy? Where'd you meet? And so she had to explain all that. So I think she was nervous about that. But then when they explain it, they're engaged or whatever, he's like, oh, congratulations.
Yeah, he seemed genuinely happy.
Yeah. So that, it was
okay, why are you all
much
anxious
ado about
this?
nothing.
But, all right.
And then we find out that actually Kwame doesn't even live in Seattle.
So this is what got me really angry. And I was feeling really good about Kwame. I was feeling good. I was a little nervous in Mexico, but I saw how, things were going and I was feeling good. And the minute I heard this, I was like, oh, wait a second here. That is frustrating because hello. And this is also with Micah too, who also apparently splits her time between
I don't think she really lives in Seattle either.
And Arizona. So Kwame, what did you think? What did you think when you signed up for a show that Seattle, we're in season 4. If you've watched the show, it's based on where you live. This is why. And the producers I know probably picked him because this creates some drama too. But what did you think was going to happen if you met someone who lived in Seattle, had a life in Seattle? You meet someone who has a job that cannot travel, who's based in Seattle, who told you very clearly they want to have children and it's there. I was just like, oh crap, Kwame's doing it for the fame.
Totally.
Kwame is doing this for the fame.
100.
He basically got wind that it's Seattle. I'm going to just...
Close enough.
This is great. And I was just like, you have got to be kidding me. This is all about fame.
Yeah. And you know what? I looked at his Instagram.
Oh, you did? Okay. What's the 411?
Total fame chaser. He has all the poses. He reminds me of the guy, was this Love is Blind? Or maybe it was The Bachelor. I don't know. There was someone very similar to him on one of those shows. All the pictures of him are perfectly curated. Like,
who's the guy that you're talking about?
From the other show?
Yeah,
I can't remember his name.
Oh.
But there was another guy who was just like this. But anyway, he travels all over the place and takes all these, model-like pictures of him. There's this one picture of him, like, pulling up to one of these really cute kind of A-frame, look like an Airbnb sort of type house in the woods. And he's pulling up in this black, very expensive Mercedes and doing the slow walk out. And I'm like, what is this? He did this for the followers.
Yes.
He did this for the fame.
Yes.
He did this for the attention. He doesn't give a shit.
And the whole time, the rest of their storyline, as I was watching it go on, I'm like, oh crap. He is coming up with excuses now. He is coming up
He doesn't want to move to Seattle.
He doesn't want to move to Seattle, and he's already coming up with reasons why. Reasons why this is not going to work, and he is going to break Chelsea's heart. And I'm so pissed. I'm so angry at him.
Yeah, and, I just think that the only regret or thing he had about Micah was when he saw Micah, I think he looked at her and thought physically, well, she's kind of just more what I am used to or into or whatever. I don't think he really gives a crap about her either.
Or maybe that Micah's from, maybe she's really Arizona and that he sees that kind of lifestyle that she has. Because that's the other thing is I think the other thing that bothers Kwame, and we learn, is the fact that, Chelsea doesn't have a fabulous lifestyle and, she's a speech pathologist. She has to... she has
to work. She has to get up and go work with children.
Yes.
Every
day.
He says something to
7 to 7. She's gone 7 to 7.
And he's complaining that he has to walk the dog 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And she keeps saying, well, welcome to marriage. Welcome to life. This is what we signed up for.
Yeah.
You said you wanted to get married.
Yeah.
And she's right. It's like she's calling him out. And they are not going to.
No, he's going to.
I hope God that,
and you know what,
she
Chelsea,
says no.
Chelsea, I hope to God that she says no. And she says it before him because he's going to say no for sure. But I hope to God that that Chelsea realizes that she dodged a bullet with this one.
Yeah, well, this is when I just went, ding, 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 ding.
Yep. The minute I heard Portland, I'm like, oh yeah.
So then we get to meet Paul's mom, who is just
here we go.
Okay.
Yes, and this is when I said at the top of the show that we got some answers. We got some answers, and I was so upset when Micah called it out because I thought I was a genius when I wrote it down. And just I wanted to say in my notes, I wrote it before Micah said it. So there we go.
What did she say?
Well, basically, mom, we meet Paul's mom. She is, we meet her and I'm like,
she's Micah, 25 years, 30 years from now.
I see her and I'm like, oh, okay. Because I never quite understood Paul's attraction to Micah, especially in the pods. Like, obviously, Micah's very pretty. I'm not here to, I think everyone thinks she's this bombshell. She's very attractive. I don't think she's the most she's not the most beautiful person ever. But I mean, she is very, very pretty. And so, but I could see something like, why is Paul so into her? What is it about her energy that Paul likes? And then you meet that mom and you're like, oh, he likes his mom. Right. This is his mom.
Oh, yeah. Does she say you're marrying your mom?
Yes. Yeah. She says it in a confessional outside. She says, well, I guess, she basically, Micah says it. She names it.
Yeah. And the mom says that she's never seen him happy and in love, not even close to having a potential fiance. So this is very different, but you can tell she's thrilled.
Oh, yeah.
She loves Micah. She's already done her full legal research on her. She's a paralegal. So she's done her research. She tracked her down. She figured out who she was. She's investigated her. She's, I guess, given her approval.
Yeah.
So
and they both have that bleach dyed blonde hair, kind of like light and fluffy.
Yeah, dressed cute. Yeah.
And I think that was the other part of it too, is because Paul's so analytical. But I think when he talked about, he loved Micah's perspective on life. Because
she's more
easygoing and light, and this is life. I think that this is the stuff his mom would say to him, and I think his mom would say these things to calm him down, to make him feel good and safe and centered. And I think that that's what Micah did for him, and I think that's what makes him feel good.
Yeah. So that was very interesting. So then Brett and Tiffany go to Brett's apartment. And, again, there's really not any drama here. He's got a lot of shoes, which, of course, he's a shoe designer. That makes sense. His apartment is immaculate.
Yes, of course.
It's very clean. There's nothing.
Yes.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
It's like they're talking about, we might need some more closet space. Like, we can move into a different unit that's bigger. I mean, it's just like, and she's like, oh, great. Okay. Like, everything's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, so then we go to Bliss and Zach. So Bliss is going over to, is this Zach's real apartment?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's
remember,
right.
They do move in.
And because he's got all of these weird, sound, he's got the sound system where different songs play when Zach is a complete and total nerd.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just nerdy. And so, he's got they're both into Harry Potter, and he's got Harry Potter music that plays when you walk into the bedroom. Like, that's supposed to be romantic.
Well, I mean, and he commissioned an owl painting, and I think the owl's playing a guitar or something.
And the owl has something to do with Harry Potter, and she loves Harry Potter, so she loves the owl thing. Yeah. And I'm just looking at these two. The way they talk, they're both very geeky, kind of awkward, but their banter, like, to me, seems painful, but they like it.
Yes.
She likes his goofiness. I'm just like, wow. Like, well, thank God these two came back together again.
And this is what I also wonder too, is I wonder if it just, when they were in the pods, it all just scared Zach so much. And this was what this is what's frustrating me about, and maybe he did say this to her off camera, but this is the part that's really frustrating me is, and she continues to make little jabs, like she keeps, like, she'll keep making these little jabs about, like, not picking her, and the jabs, she'll say things like, she'll make a backhanded comment about it, and then he says at one point, oh, I'm sorry, and then she teared up, and then she'll say, like, oh, it's all right, I guess, but obviously it's not all right. Like, it still really bothers her, and it would be a lot better if if she really said, and she does later on, like, I'm really, after they get engaged, but like, I'm really hurt, I can't let my guard down with you. Like, I feel this way. But I think it would have gone a long way if Zach could just say to her, I met you, we clicked, I'm an odd duck, and I clicked with you in a way that I've never clicked before. I met someone who was me, and it scared the crap out of me. And I've never met anyone like that. I think that would have been better than what his other explanations were.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's really what he did, why he did what he did. I also think Irina fooled him, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know. We may never know.
Anyway, they have their date. He ruins the steaks.
What was wrong with the steaks?
Okay, so
I didn't
he's
understand.
Okay, and if you are a Top Chef watcher, follower, you will know this one. He sous vide them, which is basically where you put a meat in a bag and you put it in water, and it does something. It like steams it or something. I think it's the grossest way to cook something, but apparently when you take it out, if it works right, it's great. But hands down, every single final of Top Chef, someone decides to sous vide something and they've never sous vide anything before, and it always fucks up.
Because it looked like it was just still raw.
Yeah, because you have to, like, the thing with it is, unlike when you cook something where you can kind of look at it and see and test it, sous vide, you kind of have to trust. Like, you have to put it in the bag and put it into the machine and then walk away for whatever length of time. And I don't understand why people sous vide things.
Well, why couldn't he have just taken them and then just cooked them?
Because I think they've been submerged or water got in.
Oh.
So I think that yeah.
So, okay.
So just don't sous vide. If you're on Top Chef, don't sous vide anything. And if you have a date with someone that you really care about them, do something you've done before.
Right. It's not time to experiment.
Yeah, don't experiment. But yeah.
Okay. So next, we have to go back to Kwame's apartment in Portland.
Oh, yeah. And this apartment really is, ooey.
So, yeah, he says he needs to get his Xbox.
That's right.
He misses his Xbox.
I need to get my clothes and some Xbox. And boy, does this look like a disgusting bachelor pad.
It really is. Like, it's a mess. It has not been clean. There's clothes everywhere. He says he doesn't really sleep on his bed.
He sleeps on the couch. And she was pointing out all these, like, the lotion and all that.
And the lube. She's opening up his bedroom dresser drawer.
Yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. And again, and then he says to the camera, he's like, yeah, I really love Portland. I play soccer here with a group of people 5 times a week. I play, I do this every week. I have this place where I run. It's like, well, Kwame, what?
Yeah. Then why did you sign up for this show?
Why did you sign up for a show where you were going to meet someone who lived 2.5 hours away?
I know.
Like, did you think that someone else was going to be in Portland too? I mean, you have this life. You're happy in this life. Like, what were you thinking? Yeah, and that's the part. And each time he talked about this, I was like, what are we doing?
Annoyed with him. Yeah. Okay. So then we go back to Jackie, who's still completely and totally stressed out. Again, talking about how her mom is not happy. She's, Marshall's sister, brother-in-law, and niece are coming over, and she's like, I don't know if I can do this. And I'm not sure if she means she doesn't know if she can meet them or she doesn't know if she can do this whole
I know.
thing, period,
it's
at all.
It's so weird. Yeah, I thought it was her family coming over there for a while. I'm like, oh, this is his family. Like, why are you freaking out?
So... yeah, and Marshall's sister, says she really likes her, and I don't think they have any idea, obviously, what's going on. Yeah. But
they seem very nice.
Yes, very delightful. So then we go to Paul's apartment, and Micah wants to change everything in it because he's just got like couches he got off Craigslist or the side of the road. And this is where she brings up that she wants to split her time between Seattle and Arizona.
And I was like, wait a second.
Where did Arizona come
I was like, where? We have never heard about Arizona ever. Ever.
No.
In this entire time.
No.
We've never heard about Arizona.
And again, I have a suspicion that she's really from Arizona and she wanted to be on this season of Love is Blind, which is probably never going to go to Phoenix or,
But the other thing is that, but she does have a group of friends there. We did meet friends of hers. So I wonder if she splits her time. I bet you that she's someone who maybe is, Arizona's very hot. So, I mean, I wonder if she kind of in Seattle's rainy. I wonder if she does split her time between the two much more, but it does seem weird.
Yeah. And then I think she says that they would move into Paul's apartment, but she has to change everything.
Yeah. But then that makes, so she must have a roommate or something. I don't know.
I have no idea, but it seemed weird to me. And of course, Paul, I think he's just kind of like, what? He's kind of like a deer in headlights.
See, I think he doesn't care about her changing things, but I don't think he wants to move. And he kind of like laughs through everything. He's like, ha ha ha, yeah. No, but I don't want to do that. Ha 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 ha. It's weird. What did he say? He says, it feels different when we have these. It feels like a different person when we have these tough conversations.
Yeah.
It's like, what the what?
Yeah. Again, Paul, why did you go?
Yes. Again.
This casting. I don't know. Okay. So then we're back to Tiffany and Brett. They're talking about money.
Yeah. I thought this was an interesting conversation.
But also at the end of it, again, it's kind of like, okay, he's talking about how, he likes nice things. And she says, well, what's the most you ever spent on one thing? And he says he spent $1,200 on a, like a Louis Vuitton suitcase or something. And she's like, oh my God, $1,200. Again, they're trying to stir up something, but she doesn't really care.
Yeah, I get the sense that she's a client recruiter. And he's a design director. I get the sense that he makes a lot of money and he makes a lot more than her. And I think that she's just trying to figure out like, oh my God, are you someone who is flashy and just spends a bunch of money on stuff? And he's basically saying, no, I'm not. And she's like, okay, great. And great.
Yeah, great. Yeah,
you're both hardworking people and you're going to have plenty of money.
And they're talking about how, they're going to share their money. They're not going to be like, well, this is yours and this is mine. And again, no, they're there.
Two normal, reasonable people that have thought everything through in their lives. They're settled in what they're doing and they're happy to still be where they are.
Yeah. So, okay. So much for that. So then we go to Zach and Bliss are on this weird boat ride.
Yes.
And this is where he proposes.
Yeah, that was, again, fast. I didn't think it was going to happen this fast, but okay.
And and they're both, again, I wrote here, they're both dorks.
Well, this was the other thing is he says something to her like, I hate that hat because I can't kiss you. And she's like, oh, well, you're going to have to work for it. So she takes off the hat and then he dives in and he starts kissing her and she keeps talking. He's like, blah, blah, blah. It was like, oh, that's weird and awkward. And then all of a sudden he's down on one knee and I'm like, oh my God, he's going to propose. Why? Wait now. I was like, wait it out a little bit. Oh my God. She said yes. I'm in the moment with all of this. I'm like, what is happening? And then I thought, well, wait a second. Do they have to do it now? Because
They want to be on the same track as the other couple.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, do they want the free wedding? Do they need that free wedding? Like, is this what needs to happen? And then when I saw them packing up their stuff going into the apartments, I'm like, I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess we have to keep going.
They lost some time, but they are back on track.
They are back on
Actually, I don't think they even lost that much time.
No, they didn't.
Couple
days. But did you hear that comment where she's like, oh, my family's going to stop calling me a spinster? I'm like, you're 32. You're 32 years old. You're a spinster?
I know.
Oh, God.
This show.
I know.
Okay, so now we're into episode 8. Bliss has said yes. And then I have here, we meet Micah's parents, Paul and Patricia.
Yes.
And so they are not what I was expecting for Micah's parents. They seem like they're from a different family. They're just kind of very salt of the earth, not flashy at all. And they're talking and they're just sort of looking at her like, what is happening? Like, you're really doing this?
Yeah.
They seem very shocked. And she tells them that they're going to move into Paul's place. And then she's talking about Arizona again. And she's talking about having a place for her family to come stay. I guess she's talking about Seattle. I don't know. I didn't understand this conversation.
Yeah. I was just like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
It didn't really tell us much.
Yes.
So now we're back to Marshall and Jackie.
Okay.
And
is this where he talks about things are bleak?
Yes.
Okay.
He says
this is where I have a lot of feelings.
Relationship with Jackie is very bleak.
So Jackie and Marshall get in a fight because Jackie tells him that he needs to boss up and be a man, that he wasn't being enough of a man. And I guess this is around maybe sex. Like,
I think it's a lot to do with sex.
A lot to do with sex. He says that he ended up like packing up some stuff and staying at his own apartment. I guess she was, yelling and screaming or something was going on. So he felt like, okay, I need to take some space. So we see him returning to the shared apartment and with his suitcase. And when he gets there, she's packing up her stuff because she's pissed and she's mad because he just left and didn't want to talk it out. And she's mad because we don't have sex. She wants him to do something, try to get me in the mood. And then she says, I want you to be more aggressive. I want you to switch it up a little bit. Don't be such a grandpa. And the thing is that, right, like, he then says to her, hold on a second.
He said something pretty harsh. Yeah.
He does, but, this is, okay. What he says to her, I had some other notes here too, but the thing is that he's upset with her. He then says to her, he's upset because Jackie does nothing for him, right? That really the relationship is him doing nice things for her, complimenting
affirming her,
that he has to deal with her moods. And we've seen several times of these moods that he has to handle. And he's the one being very understanding, and that she does nothing to make him feel special. And that what she's asking of him is a lot because, you're asking me to be this guy that I'm not. Like, why would I suddenly be aggressive about something that I'm never going to be aggressive about? And, he says, why did you pick me? And then he says, he saw her as a project. And that's with potential. She saw that she had, and then he kind of corrected it himself and said he sees her as having limitless potential, and he wanted to uplift and empower her. And this was when Marshall lost me a little bit, because I love you, Marshall. I think you're awesome. I think you're great. I think you're wise beyond your years. But Marshall, you need to date people you need to date. Apparently, Marshall doesn't feel good enough about himself to date people that are on his level. It's almost as if he feels like he needs to date people that are projects to him so that he can uplift them. It's like, you be the star of your life. You don't need to be behind someone and lift them up. I think that he's not ready for a serious relationship if he's someone who feels like he can only be with someone that he constantly has to lift up, that he has to be the better person, that he has to be the one to show them the way.
Or that he doesn't believe that he's worthy enough for someone who is already
at that level. Yeah.
And look, I relate to this. I totally relate to this. And yeah, but ultimately it's his issue.
Yes, it is. And
it's his issue to deal with.
Yes. And it's not. And so this is the part where, because I always felt like with Marshall, I mean, from the outside looking in, you look at Marshall and Jackie, where you would think like, oh my God, Marshall's a saint and Jackie's this mess. And isn't he this amazing guy? And then you have to be like, well, what's up with Marshall? And what is that saying to really Jackie? That makes Jackie feel like crap. Because basically what he's saying is, yeah, I think you're a project. I think that you're not
No, it's not a compliment.
Whole person. I think you have limitless potential, but you need me to fulfill that for you and lift you up. And only I can help you do that, or my love will help you do that. And the thing is that it was also interesting because she also, when he went to her and said a few things to her, like, that hurt my feelings, you saying that grandpa stuff and being aggressive, she then negated those feelings instantly. She was like, oh, it's not that bad. And you can start to see these windows to, I think, a little bit of these symptoms of her family stuff. I'm just going out on a limb. I get the sense with her family that growing up, I don't know about the physical abuse, but I think that there was a lot of verbal and emotional abuse growing up. And I think that love was withheld a lot. And I think her family was very manipulative. And I think that, it is very, very hard for her to be with someone who consistently loves her without taking the love away. So before Marshall can take the love away, she does something like this to push it away. So she has these drama outbursts because she has to have these drama outbursts. And the minute he said project, I'm like, oh, she has her reason now. She's got her next one. She can hold on to this project comment every single time she needs to just keep rolling along with it.
Well, didn't she say that her parents were super, super strict? Is she the one who said that? Yeah. So there could have been even some physical abuse, and that's why she's never been in a relationship. Her parents never really allowed her to do stuff like that. But oh yeah, this is really, I mean, she has spent her life in that chaos, and that's what feels familiar to her. And Marshall is just sort of this like even keel thing, and that freaks her out. Yeah. She doesn't know how to deal with that.
But I also wonder, is this a pattern for Marshall too? Does Marshall continue to meet chaotic women,
right,
and try to like fix them up and tame them and make them whatever? And and what is and obviously Marshall's his ego is getting stroked by being the guy who's getting up early.
Yeah, he's like the hero.
Yes, he really does enjoy being the hero. I know, but I love these two, but I really they're both very young. They should not be getting married. Yeah. Do not get married.
But then
either of you.
They kind of hug and she apologizes. So yeah, they do this like breakup, makeup. That's just part of their dynamic.
But at the end of this episode, it's still up in the air about what's going on because they go to that party separately.
Oh yeah,
you know. So
all right, so what do we have here? Okay, so then I have next in my notes another conversation with Kwame and Chelsea. This is really starting to get...
Oh, God, yeah. Is this about his mother?
Difficult to watch. Well, yeah, there's a phone call. Well, first, I think there's a conversation where they're talking about kids, and he doesn't seem to really want kids. And she even asks him, do you want to settle down? Because, she's 30 years old, and she's saying, I think she said she wanted to maybe have kids in 3 years, which is reasonable. Yeah. She's not saying, oh, I got to get pregnant right away. But he's pushing back on that, and she says, do you want to settle down? And then he says that he's compromising, and that his compromising is pretty darn big.
Yes.
And he's already bitter that he has to walk the dog 3 times a day. So this is just more evidence that Kwame is not here for the right reasons.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. The mom stuff happened, in the scene before where the mom was not happy about, like, he told his mom about getting married.
She didn't even want to be recorded or anything.
And I wrote down, like, okay, now Kwame has another reason for not getting married. My mom doesn't approve.
Right.
So I don't want to get married. That's right. They were taking the dog for a bath.
But we don't even know if he actually talked to his mom. That could have been just fake. I don't know.
Yeah, he could have been talking to a wall. We don't know.
We don't know, but this isn't not looking good.
Well, she asks, do you want to settle down? And then he has a long pause and he looks left and then he looks right and he goes, yeah, why wouldn't I? And it's like, okay, yeah. I mean, you can see he's already, God damn you, Kwame. I was with you. And this, of all the people,
because he's a charmer.
And the thing is that if Kwame was with Micah right now, I wouldn't be so bothered. I'd be a little bit like, okay, maybe Micah gets her heart broken. Maybe Micah has a hard time. But like Chelsea, of all people, she has been nothing. She has been nothing but honest and straightforward. She is asking you straightforward to your face every single time she has said to you, straightforward, this is what I want, this is how I want it, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
She has not played one iota of a game. She has not hidden anything. She has been nothing but real and honest with you and kind to you.
Yeah.
How can you do this to her?
No, this is messed up.
It's fucked up. All right.
So then I think the next scene is that this is where we meet Micah's friends.
Yes, I have a lot to say about this.
I don't like the friends.
I hate the
especially
friends.
the really drunk blonde one. I don't know her name.
Oh, Shelby. Yes.
Well, yeah, you go off with the friends.
I'm going to go off about this. Okay, so Micah brings Paul to her friend, and is it thinks Shelby's birthday party? And so this is her two good friends that we meet, Shelby and Micah. And Micah... No, that's Micah's the friend. Michaela, sorry. And Michaela is spelled with not a K, a C. It was very weird.
Oh, wow.
So I said, I just wrote down, like, these friends are a lot. And then when you meet these friends, you can see how Micah gravitated to Arena.
Right, they're all drama queens.
Yeah, they are just like Arena. And so, then we meet Shelby, and Shelby is, so Shelby, of course, is this friend that, Paul has to quote unquote pass the friend test with. Mm-hmm. And then they have this very bizarre exchange where, so Shelby asks Paul, "Are you serious?" And I assume that means like, are you serious about this relationship? Are you serious about all this? And it's a little bit of like, that's a stupid question, Shelby, because of course he's serious. He put a ring on it. Mm-hmm. So what do you think that mean? What does that mean behind that? But okay. And then, so, because I don't think you would be here, right? Okay. And then the whole exchange makes such a bizarre thing. So then she asks, "Are you serious?" And then Paul starts to describe it. He starts to explain. And he's like, "Yeah, but oh, that's right." They start to ask him questions about what his time was like in the quote unquote experiment and what it was like, and is she kind of what you thought she was going to be, like these normal questions that people ask. And then he kind of gets into, well, the experiment is set up like this, and he talks a little bit. He literally gets 2 sentences out. And then Micah kind of cuts him off and goes, "Oh, didn't I tell you? He's a scientist. He's so analytical." And the girl and the 2 friends are like, "Ha ha ha, we're not used to all being super analytical like this." And Shelby seems kind of annoyed with him.
Yeah, they did not make him feel very welcome.
Yeah, no, they didn't, because she's annoyed with him because what? It's not a one-word answer? I mean, I felt like he's trying to explain. You asked him a question. He's trying to explain it to you.
No, because they're drunk.
Yes.
They're all loaded.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, they can't focus on that many
like,
words.
"Oh, we don't really know articulate manner, but this is not us." And then Shelby says, "Oh, yeah, well, I'll have something to say at some point. I'll have something bitchy to say about something at some point with this." And then Paul says, and Shelby says something like about, "Keep it up. I'm serious about it. Don't say stuff like that to get me all pissed off." And Micah then says, "Oh, yeah, well, she's easily angered. She keeps kind of making excuses for Shelby." And Paul says to her, like, "Well, I don't care." Which was a very much what he was saying was, I'm not taking your friend Shelby very seriously.
Right.
Like, I'm not getting my feelings hurt by this drunk dumbass over here. Like, trust me, she and I don't put
it's not
us on the same,
the bait. Yeah.
I don't see us on par. And Micah says, "Don't be like that." So it's a little bit of like, okay, so Micah, it's okay for your friends to be mean and judgy to Paul, but not the other way around. Mm-hmm. Not the other way around. Like, what if his friends were like this with you? Mm-hmm. You would be livid. Mm-hmm. And suddenly it all came together for me. I was like, I see now. I see why you were friends with Irina. I see how you get into these things. And I also think that I also think that Micah is someone who is heavily influenced by the people she spends time with. I think the friends that she is with are the people that influence her. Because you can see, and you see it later at the party, now that Irina is out of the picture and it's Bliss, and Bliss is there, and she's got Bliss and Tiffany and Chelsea, and she's got these really solid women that she's around, you like Micah a lot more. Micah becomes an adult. Micah becomes more bearable. But when you see Shelby and Michaela, you're like, oh God, who is this person? And so it's interesting to see, because obviously this shows you a lot about Micah, that Micah's not a fully developed person, that she's still trying to figure out who she is. And then at the end of all this, they do this separate like little interview with Michaela and Shelby. And I mean, Shelby can't even stand straight. Shelby's just like, and they don't even let Shelby respond. They're like, well, just give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down on Paul. Like, let's just do an emoji here. And she's like, like showing the thumbs down. Yeah. And, and then Shelby's like hammered and she's crying and telling Micah like not to marry Paul. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And Micah is listening to this. Your drunk friend is telling you not to marry this guy after how long you talked to him. This is the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. These are the worst friends.
That was terrible.
I had to I honestly rewound it several times because I kept thinking, am I missing something? Or did they cut this weirdly? Because I kept thinking, did I miss something? Did I miss something that Paul said?
It was just
that they were bothered by? Because all he did was start to explain something and they got mad at him.
No, it was just a clusterfucking. Yeah, I just kind of sat there and was, when is this going to be over? I don't care about these people.
Yes,
they're idiots. But anyway. No, Micah is,
but it revealed a lot. Yeah. That's why I said this episode, I learned so much about Micah in this episode.
Yeah.
I really did.
So then they have this get together with everybody, and they have some randos show up from the show. Amber was there. Josh was there. There might have been maybe one other person, but obviously they're not random. They picked them, to try to trigger some people. And I don't think Paul really didn't seem to give a crap about Amber. And Amber also looked like she kind of looked like she was surprised that he was there. I don't know why she would have been surprised. But I think this was mostly to try to drive a wedge between Jackie and Marshall. They have Josh show up. Now, Josh is another one.
Or maybe get Micah and Kwame in the same room.
Yeah, true. But, Josh was pretty drunk and slurring and not making much sense. What
because Marshall shows up alone. He tells Chelsea they had a falling out. He said Jackie's still coming, but she's coming on her own. So she shows up on her own, and Marshall's trying to be nice to her, and she's kind of pushing him away a little bit, and doesn't really seem to want to talk to him. And then also Tiffany and Kwame have a conversation, and Kwame starts. I'm seeing Kwame. He's starting to lay the foundation. He's telling Tiffany, he feels like he's compromising too much. I was like, okay. Yeah. And then Micah talks to Bliss, telling her about Mexico, how Irina hated Zach, how she came on to Paul, how, Micah was Irina's only friend in the pod. So we learn more about that.
Yeah. And,
and this is where we have the conversation with Brett and Marshall and talking about how, Jackie wants that toxic kind of love.
Yeah.
And Brett's. And I'm kind of like, Brett, why are you co-signing on all of this? Kind of tell Marshall,
I think he's trying to tell him politely, and he's just listening to her. Listening to him, he's saying this is the first real man in her life. And then he says Jackie has never told him that she loves him.
She's like, care for you.
Yeah, it just gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to put Josh in there, but I don't think that Jackie's really picking up on him. She doesn't really care. And they're just doing this for drama, but it's stupid. He's drunk. And she's like, we never talked about emotions or anything in the pods. Why are you talking about this now?
And obviously, I think everyone hated Josh.
Yeah, all the
Kwame
guys
was just
hated him.
Kwame doesn't like you. You're annoying to Kwame.
Yeah.
Like, nobody likes you. You're very annoying.
Yeah.
But-
and then I also feel like, like Micah was maybe trying to get some attention out of Kwame.
Yeah, a little bit.
But he also wasn't really picking it up either, because she was like, oh, I still think about you and I care about you, et cetera, and he's just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. This whole party, I don't think it accomplished anything
that the producers
wanted. Amber didn't. There was nothing between Paul and Amber. Mm-hmm. There's no scenes. So
well, Paul ran from her. I think Paul realized, like, okay, I saw what happened with Micah and Kwame. I'm not going to the opposite direction. So that nothing happened there. And Micah and Kwame have kind of learned their lessons, so they're not going to go down that road. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't as explosive as they thought it was going to be, for sure. The other thing is we didn't cover is they also did this other thing where we see Zach and Bliss move into the apartment, which I thought was hilarious. It's like, okay, here we go. We're going to move into these apartments too. Mm-hmm. And then Zach starts talking about his life. He's like, yeah, I just moved to Seattle. I just started my own law firm. And then I came on this show, and then I'm getting married. I'm like, God, are you people so desperate that, like, would you, if you just moved somewhere and started your own firm where your livelihood is connected to it, would you really go on a show that would mean that you're not going to work for a month, and then where you're going to have this wedding and do all of this?
Maybe he thinks it'll be good PR for
maybe
his firm.
He does. I just think, what is up with you people? I guess you know what? Listen, someone came to me, maybe I would ditch everything too to be on a reality show. I have no idea.
I know it takes a certain kind of person to go on a reality show at all, especially one like this. And I mean, I never in a million years would even consider it. So, I mean, these people are different, so they're just...
You would never go on a reality show?
I don't think so. I mean, I can't imagine. I don't know. I don't think I could handle the scrutiny.
Yeah, I don't know if I can handle the scrutiny. I would go on a reality show if the scrutiny was on other people and I could just be an expert talking about other people, which is what we do here.
Yeah, sure. Where we just talk shit about people.
Oh, yeah. I'll give advice or something like that. I could do that in a heartbeat. But the rest of this stuff, but the whole idea of going anywhere and, like, having to just, like, pause your entire life for a month or something. It's just, I don't know. And maybe that's why you need to get 25, 26-year-olds. I could do that then. Now I really can't do it. It's too many. I have too many other things I got to deal with.
These people, they're younger. They're just starting their lives. And and also I'm not that interesting. Like, you have to be really interesting to be compelling on television. Yeah. And it's interesting that the things that we criticize people for that are on reality TV are the very things that make them interesting.
Yeah, it's true.
If they didn't do those things, no one would be watching, because it'd be like watching paint dry.
Yeah. No, it's like Brett and Tiffany.
Exactly.
They are the kind of people that I would want to hang out with, and they are incredibly boring.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So...
All right. Well, I guess then it's a compliment that we are not reality stars.
We're too normal.
All right. Well, that was Love is Blind. I'm telling you, this damn show, it's so good. It really
gets
is.
You sucked in. It's sucked in. I don't know. But I'm starting to wonder if I'm too old to watch this show, because I'm just these people are so young, and I just look at them and I'm like, I don't know. Hard to relate to a lot of this.
Okay. But these are all what most reality shows are. We're gonna have to start talking about higher level caliber geriatric versions of reality shows.
No. I mean, but I just wonder, like, am I too cynical? Do I look at this through too cynical of a lens?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Well, just think about Tiffany and Brett. Look at these two; they would have never met.
Yes, this worked for them.
And if these two don't get married, I'm going to be livid.
Yeah. I guess, look, 1 out of 5. Not bad. I can't really see... I can kind of see Paul and Micah getting married.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm feeling a slightly more... I can see them getting married. I wonder if they're going to last. Mm-hmm. But...
and maybe Zach and Bliss.
Oh, yeah. I have... more faith in Zach and Bliss than I do because Zach and Bliss both are on the same page. They want the same things. They're sort of in the same space. So I have more hope for them. The other pairs should not be getting married.
No, they shouldn't be.
Marshall and Chelsea should be getting married, just not to Kwame. So
yeah, no. Hopefully, through this experience, she'll meet another person who's ready, who's actually ready to get married.
Yeah.
And Kwame's not ready to get married. At all.
All right.
Well, thanks for joining us. If you're still here, thank you. And if you like the podcast, we would appreciate it if you would subscribe.
Yes.
Give us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes.
Yes, we appreciate that.
And we are doing our, I guess we'll have one more episode of Love is Blind for the last
there might be
3 episodes. I don't know how many are left.
3 more, and then there's one that's we're going to have like 2 more installments because I think there's 3 more where they have the weddings, and then I think there's going to be like after the altar.
Okay.
I think.
All right. Well,
and don't forget, we are on social media now.
That's right. We are on Instagram at PsychLegalPop
and TikTok as PsychLegalPop.
Yeah.
So please, we need followers.
Yes,
we
please
just
follow
started
us to spread the word.
Yes, follow us.
New subscribers.
So you can follow us so that you get up to date on when all of the shows are being posted. But if you subscribe, you'll get those as well.
Yeah.
And just, we're going to be posting pictures from our childhood and articles and various other things. So you want to stay tuned for that.
And we're still doing our Sister Wives Rewind
Yes.
every Tuesday. So tune in for that if you like Sister Wives. And we're going to be wrapping up Extreme Sisters here in an episode if you if you made it this far with Extreme Sisters. And who knows what's next.
Yes. Very excited.
Yes. So thank you so much. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Give me a mountain with lots to do. Give me the sunshine, give me a dew. Give me something simple and true. All I need is sunshine and a cool, refreshing mountain dew. So give me my good friends, give me a dew.
Grab some friends and an ice-cold Mountain Dew today.
Mountain Dew.